that we have the feedback in the news for days afterwards being analysed and pulled apart. We will hear from her evaluator later on in the meeting. But before we do, we are going to be treated to another speech. But just before we do that, I'm just going to let you know on our timings this evening that tea break will just be that little bit later to accommodate the speech, but we will not be losing any time throughout the meeting because it's just a 20-minute schedule after the tea break. And all speakers have been within time at the moment, so well done. I'm sure the next speaker will too. This evening, Franklin is going to introduce our next speaker. Frank, the role of the evaluator is to not only just introduce the speaker, but to tell us the objectives that we're to listen out to within this speech. As some speakers are doing different project books, the basic one, and then some are doing additional speeches like humorous speeches. So Franklin will explain which book this speech comes from and some of the objectives before he introduces our next speaker. So please welcome with me, Franklin to the front of the group. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker for tonight is Algenes. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Perfect, Franklin.
Okay. So the book or the manual that Algenes is going to use today is the Competent Communicator Manual, wherein the goal or the objectives of the speech is to select visual aids that are appropriate for the message and the audience, and to use visual aids correctly with ease and confidence. Now, if you have been into the journey of this manual, Project 8 is about getting comfortable with visual aids. And so let us welcome Algenes in his speech.
Thank you very much, Franklin. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good evening, Brisbane. And welcome to all my fellow Toastmasters. Nice to see you all after so many months. My speech today is to do with PowerPoint. And if John was here, John would have said, yet another PowerPoint. But the topic of the speech is to do with visual aids, so I'm defended. I arbitrarily chose this topic last night. I think it's more appropriate for October 31st, for Halloween. But let's do it 5 months in advance. Cryptozoology. How much do you know of this terminology, cryptozoology? It was invented by an European zoologist called Evan Sonson. It deals with the study of undiscovered animals. And the word for undiscovered animals in cryptozoology is simply cryptid. Cryptozoology is not the rediscovery of extinct animals. For example, the coelacanth was a fish which was discovered in South Africa in the 1930s. But that fish was well known to exist through fossil records. That's not cryptozoology. Whereas even the thylacine, the Tasmanian tiger, I have a very intelligent friend currently working in Tasmania, and if she walks out and sees a thylacine, that's not cryptozoology because we knew the thylacine existed. Whereas on the top left-hand corner you see a giant squid. Have you all heard of the kraken? Have you all seen Pirates of the Caribbean? Now if you discover a giant squid, that's cryptozoology. Because that animal was legendary and now it's been rediscovered. Can the audience name these animals? Top left-hand corner.
Thor?
No,
Sorry.
that's got to be the Yeti.
That's right. Sasquatch, what they call in America. Bottom left.
Yeah, what is that?
That's the Yowie. Sorry, that's a bunyip of Australia. And that's the Loch Ness Monster, infamous Loch Ness Monster. This is the map of America. Check out the number of cryptids in America. You have mutations. You have half animal, half human. You have reptilian forms. You have predominantly fish and reptile types, which I'll go into a few examples. The categories, there could be mutants, like the chupacabra, that's on the top right-hand corner. There could be mixture of human and animals, like frogmen or the Jersey devil. They are believed to be leftover dinosaurs, or even new species, as in the bottom of the slide, this whale, the Japanese sailors were seeing this black whale for many years. And it was only 2004 a real specimen washed up in America and they found out it's a whole new species of whale, complete new DNA. That is cryptozoology. Lake monsters. What are lake monsters? Believed to be leftovers of reptilian creatures from the ice ages and from dinosaur era. All over the world you find lake monsters. Even one in South America called Nahuelito. Even in North America, every single lake, if it's Lake Champlain, they call it Champ, the lake monster Champ. Even China, of course, Loch Ness is the most famous. This is the general phenotype of all the lake monsters. But the thing is, this animal is actually the plesiosaur, which lived 65 million years ago. The temperature back then was very hot climates, which allowed animals like these to exist. We don't have such hot climates in this day and age. And even if we did, the little ice age would have killed all these animals off because they are cold-blooded animals. They're not warm-blooded like humans. So what exactly are they? I have a theory at the last slide what they really are. These are supposed to be real photographs. The one on the top here was taken last year in Iceland, the Iceland lake monster. This is from Lake Tiachi in China, real large lake monsters swimming. That's a genuine photograph on the top, Champ, taken by a mother called Sandra Mancy in America in the 1970s. That's, in the middle portion is another lake monster in Turkey, Lake Vlad lake monster, and that's Nahuelito, the bottom left hand from South America. So what are all these lake monsters? I have a feeling it might be human panic. Saltwater crocodiles, as you know, can live in the sea, and just human beings panicking and seeing something, and they just make it bigger. We'll move on to another lake monster called El Chupacabra. This was first seen in Mexico, USA, Puerto Rico. This literal translation in Spanish means goat sucker because the victims were found totally drained of all their blood. However, the El Chupacabra, when it was shot dead by farmers, and when they examined the carcasses, they merely found them to be wolves and coyotes without fur, which is called mange. So they might not really be cryptids at all. Coming to the last cryptid, Macaulay Mabembe, a huge brontosaur-like creature which lives in West Africa near Congo. But it's full of war and full of disease and famine that no one has actually dared to venture there and capture the Macaulay Mabembe. However, throughout the 17th, 18th and 19th centuries, German, Belgian, French, British explorers all talked about this large set of brontosauruses living in the Congo region, but there are no photographs. More recently, an American documentary crew went in 2009 and they could not find the Macaulay Mabembe, but their sonar found a lot of serpentine shapes in the rivers of Congo. This is what I think the Loch Ness monster really was. There was a circus in Scotland in the 1930s, and there were elephants in the circus, and they were just bathing in the water, and the people thought they were monsters. Lake monsters could also be oversized eels. As for Sasquatch and the Yeti, goes by different names in Australia, it's called Yowie. They might be leftovers of the largest primate that ever lived called Gigantopithecus, which got extinct 9 million years ago. Probably there might be a few remnants living in the world. There's that infamous Dyatlov Pass incident in Russia in the 1960s. About 10 young men and women got killed. And that was one of the photographs they took just before, when they were all murdered and their bodies were found by the Russian soldiers. They actually captured one such Gigantopithecus on tape. So my conclusions are, sometimes zoos run out of money, and when zoos run out of money, they open the cages, let all the animals free in the forest. That's what they simply are, cryptids. Coming to the end, a few stories might be true, but however much of our oceans and forests remain unexplored. Therefore, further research will be required to determine their true existence. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster.
At this part of the evening, again, it's not arbitrary. It's not a random thing that's happened. We are going to break for a tea break.